just mentioned Rutgers again. Let's move back to your time there. And I think everybody can attest to this, especially if you've been in college. If you're in high school, just wait till it comes. Freshman year, when you're getting to college, it's a big transition. There's good times, there's bad times. It's a learning curve for everybody. You're going to have good things happen. You may have some adversity happen. And for you, when you were in college, you ran into some tough times. We talked about your story when we've met before, and you see it when you go speak all around the country. It's a very impactful story to talk about. You lost your parents in the matter of hours, at your time in college. Talk about how you overcame, because we can talk about, the negatives, but I like to focus on the positive. How were you able to overcome your situation of adversity at that time period in college?
Yeah, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that. Certainly we talk about how our life experiences have shaped us, and most certainly the loss of my parents. I was just a freshman at Rutgers. Both of them had been going to a pain management doctor and struggling with chronic pain, and had been taking several prescription drugs to sort of help them cope with that pain. And eventually, they started to misuse those prescription drugs as, it became, part of their everyday life. Their ability to function was tied to those prescription drugs. And so, it came as a shock to my family, and certainly never in a million years thought that my parents wouldn't still be here today, cheering me on through, all the life's milestones, graduating from college and getting married, and getting married twice, actually, to the same person, but the pandemic, and then the next year we did the celebration. But, always envisioned my parents being there to walk me down the aisle and to be part of that. And then, even now being, a sports reporter, I just think about my parents, giving me a call and, oh, whoa, we saw you on TV. Oh, it's so great to kind of just be my biggest cheerleaders. And, that component is certainly missing now. But spinning it to the positive side of things, I do feel like that situation has shaped me. And, we really are we can oftentimes be defined by defeat, and I kind of use that phrase, defined by defeat, because a lot of times it's when we are challenged that we're able to take those challenges and use them in a positive way. And I can truly say that, when I talk about Rutgers and how close they are to my heart, I went back to school 2 weeks after burying both of my parents. My family, my aunt Linda basically said, Lauren, like, you've got a commitment to yourself, your university, your teammates, you got to go back to school. And I really just didn't see there being another option at the time. And as I look back on the last 19 years of my life, I had so many choices when my parents passed away of I could go this way or this way, this way or this way. And were all the choices and all the directions that I went the right way? Maybe, maybe not. But I do feel like, taking adversity and being able to use that is such a key piece to what makes us resilient, what makes us who we are. And I am forever grateful that while I wish I could bring my parents back and wish I could have them in my life now, I'm also grateful for what it has taught me and the perspective it has given me with them not here with me. And I certainly think it has lent itself to, opening doors that, perhaps maybe I would have been afraid to open had I not experienced such a significant loss at an early point in time in my life.
Yeah. It's great how you can look at it from that perspective and, like we said, just turn a negative into a positive. That's a situation I can't relate to. I know many people who have lost parents, especially during college, and, it takes a village, it takes a circle, and you talk about your family members that helped you through that time as well. And I think that's very impactful to know, like, you can't do it alone. That's the biggest thing, and understanding that if you're going through something, speak up. There's going to be people wanting to be in your corner, wanting to help you, because sometimes we need people to pick us up. And so that's very impactful to talk about. So what advice would you give to somebody who's going through adversity, whether big or small?
Yeah, I mean, and here's the first thing, being there for someone. You talk about that circle, right? We've all experienced different things in our lives. And while maybe, some people can't relate to having lost a parent because they haven't gone through that, but they've experienced some sort of loss in their life, something significant, and not to downplay that, right? Because I think a lot of times we're in this comparison game, and I oftentimes find that sometimes people, they want to offer support, but they say, I can't relate. I've never been through that. And that's okay. Our experiences are going to be different. but kind of leaning into each other and being able to take a situation, take something that has happened and, to use it in a positive way. And I think for me, a lot of that is embracing my story, owning it. I dealt with so much shame from the circumstance of how my parents passed away. That shame component was eating me alive because I was so ashamed that my parents died of prescription drug overdoses, because in my mind and in my world, that was shameful. And I know that it was shameful for my parents, and a big reason why we didn't know that's how they passed away. And so, I think kind of addressing some of those underlying issues are important, but leaning into that support, knowing that it's okay to go see a counselor, to see a therapist, to focus on your own personal health and your own mental health and your well-being. And I think as athletes, sometimes we expect ourselves to be perfect, and
that stigma,
the stigma, unbreakable, unbeatable, and we do everything we can not to fail, not to take the loss, when it comes to a game, a match, a competition, but also in life. Nobody wants to take the L. But sometimes it's those L's and that loss column that help us to grow and to find our way back into the win column and to be stronger than ever.
Yeah.
And so I just think leaning into your resources, being okay with not being okay, right? And especially as student athletes and as being surrounded by, different resources, stepping up and just saying, hey, I've got this issue going on. I want to address it. And then, ultimately using that in a way to maybe encourage and inspire other people. Hey, I went through this thing. How can I help you? And also just taking inventory.
Yeah.
Taking inventory of yourself, but also those around you, your teammates, right? Sometimes I think people try to judge a book by its cover. On the outside, hey, you might be the happiest, most energetic person, but underneath it all, maybe you're fighting something, maybe you're struggling with something. So I think just taking that inventory, it can be really important. And just checking in on people, just checking in, a quick hello, a hi, how's it going? And I think a lot of times we lose sight of that, especially in this world of social media.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Social media is a big blanket, like you said, of, you don't get the whole story.
Yeah.
You can look a certain way on, social media, everything, life is good, all that. But behind closed doors, you may be in shambles. Yep. And you don't really know. But so I got to talk to people. You got to have your core. You have your core group.